So, good evening, YouTube. Um, just need to make sure that the sound quality is correct and you can all hear me loud and clear. And we've got an evening of questions, hopefully. So I've tried to put the little chat bar in the window there, so as your questions come up, we can see them on screen. If you have questions, that is. And we can go from there. So hi Stephanie. Stephanie's straight in there, and I know that you'll have a million questions. So it's good that you've joined the feed. So welcome to the feed tonight. And you would have seen at the start there would have been like a transition of some sort, where you could have seen that there's a trance workshop this weekend. Only through people having to cancel this weekend, I do have a space available for that now, so that's why it's on the feed this evening. So if you do want anything workshop or trance workshop this weekend, then contact me on the Medium Charlie Kelly page on Facebook. So Stephanie's straight in with a question, so I'm going to do that, and then I'll do what I've been up to and any kind of plugs that I need to make. So Stephanie says, sometimes when I make a contact, I get so much information at once that I don't even know where to start. It's like my mind is bombed and can't stay focused on one thing. What happens and what to do? So what do we do when that happens? So I can only tell you what I did when that was happening to me. And it's very much like any conversation that you have with a normal individual. So you will be we could be having a discussion on anything, absolutely anything. And then if I don't understand it, I can stop you and just say, hold on a minute, I didn't get all of that. You have to slow down, and then you can give me that information for a second time or a third time. And that's exactly what I did. So it's like, I totally understand what you mean. As you connect, you download all the information immediately, and it's like a flicker pad, like boom, 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 boom. And then from there, you're trying to decipher what's important and what's not important. But we will never know what's important. You know, you will probably dismiss so much key evidence because you didn't value it or you didn't see it. So what I tried to do, or and still try to do, is ask my spirit team and the communicators to slow it down because it's just too fast and I'm missing too much of it. And let's say I saw in that flickering moment, I saw a landscape, and then I saw a home, then I saw a boat, then I saw a car, then I saw an illness, then I saw a passing. It's almost like I logged those ones, and now I can go back to it. So the information I can go back to, so I can go back to the landscape, then I can go back to the home, then I can go back to the car, then the boat, then the illness, and then whatever else it was I said there. I've already forgot what I said. And in that process, I've already fulfilled the entirety of the minutes that I needed to fill up, whether it be a one-to-one sitting or whether it be a 7 to 10 minute communication on a public platform. I do notice that it comes much quicker, much faster for me during a public demonstration. But you've got to look at the process of that. Let's say I've got 50 people in front of me, then I've got 50 times the energy I would of a client. So I've got 50 times power to give me that information. Therefore, I can work quicker for longer because the information I'm receiving is times by the 50 energies that I have in the room now. So I hope that answers you in the way that I deal with that. I just revisit what seemed to stand out for me. It's like little markers along like a timeline there, and as I focus on that singular marker, more information comes with it, and then that will very effortlessly slide into the next marker, and then go on again and again, so on and so forth. So I'm very, very aware of the place that you're at right now. So just keep working on it, and you will notice very quickly that will grow as you grow also. So it seems like a good time to talk about the workshops. Why you lot gain enough confidence to throw in a question. So I don't know why you all panic about questions, but anyway, I've been asked a lot this week on Facebook about workshops, and they are uh, a lot of them are sold out now. So the ones I have spaces for that are still available is the October the 6th workshop. And October the 27th workshop. Both workshops will be, in essence, the mechanics of mediumship. I can't break it down any more than that because I need to see who's in the room, and then I use my skills, I suppose, to fit a lesson to help the individual. So there will be a basis to the lesson plan, and then through that lesson plan, if let's take Stephanie for example, that needed to slow down information, I would adjust that lesson to help Stephanie out. Whereas Carol's in the feed, and Carol's usually on the workshops. I would adjust it slightly differently for Carol's mediumship. So if you're interested in jumping on those workshops or expressing an interest in those workshops, then again, you can do it via the Facebook page, where the inbox, and when I get a moment, or on an admin day, I will answer your requests. All workshop dates and most events at the moment for 2019 are on the Facebook page, Medium Charlie Kelly, so you'll be able to find them on there. And it seems to be gaining momentum now, so I've worked hard at it. So if you want to get in early, the Facebook page will cater for that also. And then the mentorship for next year, I know we're only in June, but that's over halfway full now. So if you're looking for intensive training, I would certainly direct you towards the mentorship. And again, all details will be provided via the Facebook page, Medium Charlie Kelly. So I again, still no questions. What's up with you lot? What's up with you? Last week I was in Colchester. Well, it wasn't Colchester. It was Marks Tay, just outside Marks Tay, and I was invited along to a Bavarian course, a pranic course. Not to participate in the course, although I look like I do sometimes. But Bavarianism is people that live off the energy, so light, or whichever way you want me to say that. They literally cut out most food. I know it then filters back in very, very slowly. Um, and I was invited along by my translator, who I use for Europe, and a guy called Ray Moyes. And if I can, when this goes onto the channel, I'll post his link in the description there for you to have a look at that. If just for research purposes, even just to see what it is that I'm talking about. And that's what I was doing all last week. So they were kind enough to let me run a workshop there. They let me do a demonstration to the group also, and then build the rest of the 3 days with private one-to-ones. So a very busy week, followed by a handful of demonstrations across the southeast, really, of the UK, and leading into this week, where all the events are on the Facebook page, so you'll be able to see where I am if you want to catch me on a platform. I do know off of memory that I'm in Luton tomorrow night, so if anyone's in the Luton area, you can pop along. They're SNU Church, which is on Grove Road from memory. You'll be able to find it if you Google it, and I'll be there tomorrow. So Jade, that Jade or JD? So hello. But you're all a little bit quiet tonight, aren't you? What's up? Yeah, there's a few people in the stream, and yet none of you are talking. So um, and I need the engagement to keep the feed going as such. Also, while I'm on the subject, actually, if any of you are heavily connected to the channel, um, you will notice that it says along the ticker bar down there that I upload Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And in between, I've been doing like these vlogs as I do it. But currently, I've got no batch videos ready. And I'm currently in the process of setting up a full studio and in the process of moving. So the videos have taken a little bit of a hit. So I require just a couple of weeks of patience from you, where they'll be back up and full flowing. I will get a couple recorded and I'll let them out. It may mean that I've just got to do 2 or 3 minute long videos, and then that way I can keep up with the demand of that. So keep an eye out if you're finding it interesting in any way, which I know Stephanie in the chat there certainly has. Stephanie's kind enough to be translating it with a team of her own into French. I've opened all videos, so if I have anybody else like from Germany or any other foreign speaking country, just pop me a message on one of the videos, and I'll authorize once I've had it checked that you're not doing naughty things through the translation, and I can go from there. And as I say that, Lillian pops on as well, who also does some of the translation into French for me. So welcome to the evening, Lillian. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so what does that say? I've just got to switch screens. Sorry, that is a nightmare. This is playing up. Okay, so question for Carla. Okay. I believe in reincarnation. How is it possible to have a contact with someone in the spirit world if the person has already reincarnated? That is a very usual question, and I'm just looking to see if I have one of my props to hand. So gonna have to be really annoying and move into the camera, but give me a moment. I think so. I don't know how good this HD webcam is, but we're about to find out. So I don't know if you can see this. Yeah, you can. The camera's all right. So it's multifaceted, isn't it? You see all them facets. Look at that. Cool. I love that. I absolutely love that. And if you hang it in front of a window, you get like all these prisms all over the wall. Anyway, that's your spirit there. In total, that's the whole spirit. And definitely, if you are having a life here on that one facet there, that one little facet is Stephanie. And then if you reincarnate as Bob, Bob is that facet right there. But your spirit, the overall spirit of it, is still in the spirit world. Therefore, I can communicate and talk about Stephanie, or talk about Bob, or talk about whoever you were at whatever given time. And that is how you communicate with someone if they had reincarnated. So I'm. Does that make sense? So let me know. Just say yes or no, or I assume none of you lot like the World Cup either. So yeah, because you're all on here. Um, but we'll see. So where are we? Last mediumship workshop for 2018 is the 6th and the 27th. So yep. So there you go. They're the last ones of 2018. It's unbelievable. We're only in June, isn't it? So okay, so you mean that only a part of our spirit is reincarnated? Yes, because the I need to keep flicking screens. So because the our spirit in essence, the overall spirit stays there, and that's why it's called your higher self. Because if I have my little life down here on Earth, it still connects into the higher self there. That makes sense. That's why you'll hear or read books, watch videos, and they'll talk about a life cord. That life cord will just come down and connect to human, so on and so forth. Really lamely put, but that's how it is. So I hope that makes sense. But really good questions. I really, really like them. Um, so Jeanette, how can you determine where the information comes from when the information starts to come into view? How can you determine where the information comes from when the information starts to come through? Without sounding really rude and arrogant, I just asked them. I just ask who it is that's there. I can feel that it's a mum or a dad or whatever. You get where I'm going with that. And and I will see them. I will see how they passed or what it their evidence, and so that's how I know if I'm just getting pockets of information, just like, and it leads nowhere, and then I grab another bit and it leads nowhere. I'm 99% sure that you're working in psychic energy. There's no intelligence there. Therefore, it's you're just plucking it from the energy of the individual in front of you. But I know, I appreciate that sounds rude or harsh, but that's the reality of that, I'm afraid. Um, I determine it because the information is coming from, and as the information arrives, I then ask where it's coming from. So I see a man, or I feel a man, and then my next question is, who are you? What's your story? And he'll go, right, okay, I'm her dad. Okay, so we need to prove you then, Dad. What do we need to talk about? Talk about my time as a lorry driver, and so then the information unfolds. So it's got a story, it's got a thread, it runs in harmony as such. I hope that makes sense there, Jeanette. Jeanette. Lillian, are new souls being created, or are we just a group of old souls who are constantly coming back to wherever? You're massively on one at the moment in this subject. The honest answer there is I haven't a clue. I don't know the process, to be honest with you, on how they are formed as new, or whether we are just a huge group of people just revisiting, trying to learn. It is a great question, and one that I've gave much thought to, but one that I've never actually got a solid answer to give that's going to sound plausible. I just kicked that camera, didn't I? One that gives absolute clarification on where it is. So I'm still exploring the answer myself. I like to think that they're ever growing, just in my own way, and also ever going back. So just a constant growth, progress, an eternal progress in that sense. So yeah, and just unfortunate I can't give you more of a definite answer there. So Stephanie, do you think that means that my spirit team guides is actually me? Oh, you are they're deep today. They're deep. So back to this. This is going to come in rather handy, isn't it? I better make sure this goes in the studio. So you in conjunction with all the ones that go with you. The idea has crossed my mind that it could actually be you. I agree entirely with your way of thinking there. However, um, I still favour in conjunction with. So just another one of these right beside it, and then another one, then another one, and I have access to their information. But I do like your way of thinking there, and it had crossed my thoughts also. Um, yeah, both ways can work in theory. Both ways can work. I like it though. You got me thinking there again now. So I have had that thought myself. So cool. So come on, I need more of your questions, people. There's enough of you in here, and there's got to be more questions. Actually, I don't know where my phone is. Damn, battery. Oh. I was sent one earlier on on Facebook. So hold on, let me they asked me to read it out, so I better do my duty. Being as they took the time to send it on an inbox, I really should um take the time to read it out. So let me just find it. And I see my buddy Ray's in, who is also a moderator. So I bet he's forgot about that. So it's great to see you too, mate. And I know you've got one eye on the telly watching the football, because I know you too well, mate. So, um, so here it is. So it's from a medium in the local area, one that I've had a hand in teaching, but they are getting ready to fly off on their own now. So Um, and she says, her name is Sophie, and she says, I can't make the live feed tonight, but I do have a question. Do you think it's the human mind trying to make sense of the eternal progress principle that makes some people say the spirit world has different levels? So let's break that down. The principles that Sophie's discussing there is the one that are adapted by spiritualists across the globe. A lot of people think they're just assigned to the SNU, which is the Spiritualist National Union, which they are not. They're just adapted by. They came via Emma Hardinge Britain, who has a wonderful story, and the SNU adapted those principles. And the eternal progress principle is principle number 7. And so she's asking, is it our mind that can't handle the idea of this eternal progress at all times? So one of you's already asked about um, reincarnation. That would be an eternal progress, an eternal growth. But we see it from a very human perspective. The amount of people that I see or hear or ask me on inbox or on text message, they asked me about, are their loved ones okay now, because they were racked in pain and severely disabled or something along those lines, which I get. I totally understand the mindset. But what we forget is that we leave that physical vehicle, the body, here when we go back, because we are essence spirit, which then takes me back to this. And this knows all, everything. We know everything about this here. Through everything we've learned is stored within this spirit that we are. And the body is left here. We either bury them or we cremate the bodies, don't we? So do we as humans struggle to understand that process? I absolutely think we do. I think we try to give everything a human perspective on it. And so she's saying for different levels. Now, what people say is that, well, the naughty people of the world shouldn't be allowed to sit in a place of someone's spirit that was like a Jesus Christ or a Mother Teresa or a whoever. The list is endless of wonderful, wonderful people. But they're only wonderful through the acts that they've done, through the perception of other people. Jesus Christ didn't come back to know that he was going to be the Jesus Christ 2,000 years later, did he? He didn't know that. He just done what he thought was true to himself, and preached that. Like every other prophet or every other religion speaks of, there's always of this one person. Do they know that they're doing that? And so the layer system or level system we have to have from a human mind to accept that someone that's been naughty or bad cannot sit in a place up or higher, because that's what we do in our human way. Someone hurts us, our natural reaction is to retaliate. you hurt me, I'm going to hurt you. That seems to be the common way of thinking right now. Where really what we should be doing is, they hurt me. Why did they do that? What place were they at in their mind that they felt the need that they had to do that to me? That they felt that they have to say that about me, or act in that way to me. But we don't think that way. We lose all rational thoughts at that point, don't we? We're offended, or we hurt emotionally, mentally, and so we then play the game, don't we? The spirit isn't like that. The spirit is essence. So I think, in answer to Sophie's question, it's very difficult for the human to understand, and that's why you hear of layers or levels that these people go to. Also, do you think it's just the human mind making God seem like a person to try and understand it? And of course it is. I always try to do it in a way that may hit you a little bit harder, so you go away and think about it. And so it's not, God is not going to be a person that's sitting on a chair. I think we're past that way of thinking in 2018. You will have certain people that still think that way, but I think the majority that have a faith or a God, they don't see it as an individual that's casting judgment on you when you arrive. So I think that's a good thing for mankind. However, if any of you are married or any of you have children, I would say to you, to give you an understanding of that godlike essence, that love that you feel for your partner, your husband or your wife, or the love of your children that you've brought up into the world, and you adore them with every bit. And I say to you, I don't believe in love. Prove it to me. It's very difficult to prove love. You might be able to say, yeah, well, I bought them a ring, and I bought them a nice house and a nice car, but they're material things. I mean, show me the essence. Put it in this glass for me. Put it in there, and let me see love. And if you don't, I don't believe in it. And that's what a lot of people are doing. And God is that love essence. For me, it just seems so simple now. But at first, I couldn't. I was brought up, in the 80s and the 90s, and what religion was still left. That was the idea I had. So I get people's way of thinking. And then Sophie goes on to apologise for the deep question. I don't think it is a deep question. I think it's a question that, if you've got any kind of interest in spirituality, certainly as a medium, certainly as a public medium, these are questions that are going to be asked on a regular basis. And if you're anyone that's regular on these chats or these live feeds, you will know how many times this has come up. So it's something we definitely need to be looking at. So that question was brought to the feed by Sophie via the inbox on Facebook, and she's unable to make it today. So Spooky Chris, so I met you finally in I think it was Royston. I can't remember now. I think it was there. So it was nice to meet you, and it's great to see that I didn't scare you off there. But I enjoyed your company that evening. So thank you for popping along. Do animals ever come through with a voice? Okay, that is a great question. Who asked that? Where would it? See this mouse? It's doing my head in. Jade. I'm gonna call you Jade because I don't know if JD. Okay, JD. It's like the sports shop. JD. Let's go with that. JD. Do animals ever come through with a voice? It's never a voice. It's never a voice. Even the people that let's see. Have I got someone on here that I can kind of pick on a little bit? Lillian. I'm gonna pick on you, Lillian. I know Lillian has lost loved ones, people that are very, very close to her, and I've worked for Lillian on a couple of occasions, and I've worked with her loved one who they had a very, very close relationship, but I never hear the voice. Never ever hear the voice. Now you'll say, but what about clairaudience, Charlie? What about you hear it? You say to people you hear it. Mediums say they're telling me this, they're telling me that. And what happens is that the energy comes in as a I'm looking for props around me. Comes in as a purity, so it's like a cup of fluid. We'll say fluid. And how I then I take it in its purity here, and then I interpret it, and it's like an app on your phone. Like if you want to watch a video, you jump on YouTube. If you want to listen to music, you can do it through YouTube, but most people will go to something like Spotify. So the app's designed for it. And that essence that comes in from the communicator, it's not the voice. The voice box is still here. When I pass, I leave this vehicle behind. The voice box is here, and so I need to translate it into something that's audible, or a vision, or a feeling, so on and so forth, through the clairs. And therefore, if I need to hear their voice, that maybe I need to hear that they have a strong French accent. Then I will hear that. I will hear a strong French accent. But I can't possibly say, I can't prove that um, by telling you I'm hearing a sound. I can't prove that. However, if I say to you, I can hear him, he's got a strong French accent, that's evidence. I can't prove the sound, but the statement is of evidence. So I hope that makes sense there, JD. So do animals ever come through with voice? No, because they don't have a voice, and that would just sound crazy, wouldn't it? So if I had a client sitting in front of me and I said, your dog's turned up, by the way, which, don't get me wrong, they do. Dogs and parrots and all sorts of things turn up. They really do turn up. The thing we've got to do is prove it evidentially. So the dog would never have spoke to the owner ever, unless it was one of them dogs that can say "I love you" or "hello," like you see on YouTube. They're great videos to watch. But unless in that scenario, it will be through personality. Now the dog might. Great evidence would be that if your dog sat down at the breakfast table with you and ate breakfast every morning, it always had 3 Weetabix. That's evidence. That's amazing. But the dog don't tell me. It shows me that it sits down, or I know it. I feel it. So it's not with a voice. It's with energy. It's with the essence of the animal or the person, which I get like this. Then I interpret it through, let's say, an app on your phone, and whatever app I'm using, it will happen, just like my phone will. I want to watch YouTube, I go to my YouTube app, I go to my Facebook app, I go to my messages, or my phone call, or my iMessage. The same thing with mediumship. You use the right app for the right moment. Does that make sense, JD? So hopefully I've made that simple enough there. So where'd I get to? JD. Ray. Lol, you know me too well. I'm struggling with moving on to other information. Is this because getting it wrong, or that I'm asking the wrong questions? Okay, so you're struggling with moving on to other information. Okay, so what happens with most people, and I'm sure you will fall into that bracket of most people, is they don't know the questions to ask. That's key number one, is ask the right question. And so and this is just something that you learn through experience. But also what happens is that let's assume I don't know Ray. Let's just assume I don't know him. And what happens is that we hate getting it wrong, we absolutely hate getting it wrong. And so I'm drawing a little diagram here. So what happens is we don't like being wrong. We don't like getting it wrong. And what happens is that, I don't know if this is going to pick it up, but there, perfect. So it's mirrored on here. It's a nightmare. So you're the center dot there. And what happens is you'll say, oh man, that is a nightmare. There, center dot, and you'll ask a question. What do you do for a job? And then it will just go round and round and round and round and round. And what happens is that you get so caught in that you just don't know what to do. You don't know where to go. It just feels like you've lost your communication and you don't know what to ask. The moment I ask the question and I go, "What'd you do for a job?" and I don't feel the answer, in my mind, I know they would have gave me the answer. Why wouldn't they give you the answer? So I know it's me. I know I have got this. I can't see, feel, hear, or sense that answer in any way right now. So before I end up in a trough, ask a different question. So for example, it's like let's say it's dad, and he's 65 and he passes a cancer, and I ask him what he does for a job, but I can't get it. Then at that point, I say, "Well, what do you want to talk about? What is it you want to say?" And they might go, "Finally, Charlie, finally." Actually, do you know, I had this passion for collecting buckets, metal ones, big ones, broken ones, whatever. Very old-fashioned buckets. So you will see a bucket, yeah, and then from there I have to then go, well, what's the bucket about, and they go, oh, well, I collected them. Come and have a look in this. Look, I've got 2 outbuildings in the garden. Let's go and have a look. And I'll walk you around it, so then I can walk around and I can see it. So in answer to your question, Ray, you're not able, you're struggling to get other information because you're focusing on what you have got wrong. Now, they will never ever be wrong. Remember that. Why would they? That essence that turns up here will be 100% correct all of the time. So you've just got to accept that. And so I always teach people, get it wrong. You've got to get it wrong. Go out and get it wrong. Learn to be wrong. Learn what that feels like. Because when you've learned that and you accept, you know what, I made a huge error there, or I messed that up, you learn and put in a foundation to get it right. And once you learn to get it right, you'll know the feeling immediately of wrong or right, wrong or right. And you'll know as you speak those words whether the next statement is correct. Then you stop focusing on what you need to do. Oh, no, I'm struggling. What am I doing? I need more information. You stop doing that. You know it's going to be there because you're working. You know it's going to happen. Therefore, you know the information's there. So I stop the dilution in my mind. I've just got to find where that information is. And at that moment, it will be there. Are you asking the wrong questions? Possibly. You may be asking the wrong questions. It's something that happens a lot in early development. And I know that you're recently really up in the ante in your own understanding of the spirit world. Under no banner, I appreciate, but you're learning your own relationship there. And you could possibly be asking the wrong questions. And again, what I try to do is that we talk about this format. I recently released a video last week, formats in mediumship. If you haven't watched it, certainly go and watch that because that'll explain it. But what you'll do is you'll ask a checklist of questions: age, sex, relationship, passing, relationship, passing, and passion or description. A lot of people waste a lot of time on description. I'll do a video on that as well, actually. Passions, they might collect buckets as we suggested, and so what happens is we tick them off: sex, the age, the relationship, the passing, and we're going through this motion of tick 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 tick. The only question you need to ask when you get into the position that you're confident in your relationship with your spirit team, and how your mediumship is unfolding is, as they turn up, what's your story? What do I need to say for you? You let me know and I'll speak it. But I appreciate that's not easy to get to, and especially if you're super analytical and you're constantly questioning yourself. So possibly you're asking the wrong questions. So look at the kind of questions you're asking. And I do this in real time, so it'll be something that I do as a exercise where there will be a number of people there. So I know your lovely wife, Ray, and I know you've got 2 gorgeous daughters. In the process, I would set up an exercise that could be fun for everybody in that scenario. So what did your eldest daughter do at school today? I would find the quickest and easiest way to get that information from your daughter. And I would get your wife to look in on it to see how she would have done it, how you could have done it differently, how you could have got that information quicker from your daughter, and then use that process or that mechanic in your mind with your spirit team. And it's a really good practical exercise that you could use to sharpen up the questions that you need to be asking when connecting to the spirit world. So, hope that answers you there, mate. Okay, and you're straight in with another question under there. So, what's your opinion on mediumship in other countries? Do you feel that the way you teach is far more advanced than what other places are used to? Well, I do have Lillian and Stephanie in the house, in the room, not in this actual room, but on the YouTube feed there. Maybe they can answer that for you at the bottom there, Ray, because they are both from Switzerland, Geneva kind of way. I know Stephanie's not, but that's where I met Stephanie, in Geneva. Maybe they can answer that there for you. What I found myself when I go to the US or Brazil, so like the South Americas, when I go there, it's not as advanced as UK style. So, and I'm not trying to brush my own ego or sound arrogant in any way. But I honestly believe mediumship is really easy. And the more and more I speak how easy it is, people don't seem to believe me. They go, "You make it sound easy. You make it this. You make it." But that's the development. That's what I try to do. I try to make it easy for everyone to understand that they don't need to be spending hundreds and thousands of pounds like learning or seeing a medium. It's a birthright. And so through that process of understanding that I try to share with you on a free YouTube channel, on a free Facebook platform. And I try to give you as much as I can, as I find it, as I develop it, as I strengthen it. I try to give so much back. But it's an absolute nightmare getting people to comment or share or click a subscribe button. It's absolutely insane. But for me, I think, without it sounding arrogant, I think the UK style of mediumship seems to be leading the way, in my opinion, leading the way in the world for its evidence and the way that it is presented. I know people are going to disagree with me on that, and I know that they're going to have an opinion. It's absolutely fine. It's just my opinion. I think we lead the way. And I'm trying to keep that standard rising, trying to get it out there across the globe, using social medias and so on and so forth. So in my opinion, I feel it's very advanced in comparison. However, I do think the process of mediumship is very simple, very easy. So, hope that answers you, mate. Stephanie, when I do animal communications with living animals, yep, okay, do you think I do mediumship with the soul or spirit of the animal or a psychic reading? 100% a psychic reading. 100%. In my opinion, it's your spirit connecting with its spirit. Yep, so that is the psyche of the person. And so it's psychic energy, my energy connecting with the animal's energy, and through that energy I translate it into something that my mind, my brain understands, therefore I can speak. So if you're doing animal communication because the animal seems depressed or it's stopped eating and you're trying to help and heal it in some way, and they call you in for animal communication, and it's got like a let's say a horse and it's allergic to grass. bad example, but nevertheless that's what it was, and the owners changed the diet and stopped giving it grass and gave it something else, and all of a sudden the animal picks up, then you've done a fabulous job, haven't you? So for me, 100% a psychic reading, your energy reading the horse's energy. Oh man, I've got that song playing in my head now. You know, what does the fox say? Do you remember that horrendous tune? So I'm fighting the urge to do it as well. So anyway, moving on. Is a near-death experience usually accidental, or is there a reason why some people are chosen to almost die? Lillian, man. You love controversy, Lillian. So so if it's a near-death experience, near death, they're not dying because it's a near-death experience. So they can't be chosen to die because they nearly died. Is that accidental? I think there's a lot of debate about free will and about the pathway that we've got. I think you have a choice within a set number of choices, and one of those choices are to have the near-death experience. And what I mean by that is that if I am if I am clinically depressed, and it has been discovered that my job is causing that depression, I have choices within that moment. I carry on with the job that's causing the depression, or I quit the job that is causing the depression. It's that easy. And so within that, I have two choices: stay or leave. Now, if I stay, then the likelihood is that the depression will stay there. However, my house will be paid for, my bills will be paid for, whatever will be paid for, because that's why I'm doing the job, for the money. But the money and the job is not enough because I'm depressed. One scenario. Free will also will say we'll quit the job. And therefore you will beat your depression. And then someone will say, but what about the bills? What about your house? And then I would say, but what about your happiness? And if you're happier, you're going to be in a more creative way of thinking, and therefore you will find another way to get your money back, whether it be being an entrepreneur, or just getting another job with new people, or so on and so forth. The options that then become open in that moment is the free will aspect. So a near death experience, is it accidental? Kind of. Is it for a reason? Kind of. So it's very difficult to give any clear understanding on that because of the free will aspect and the skeptical approach to that aspect. So what I'm trying to show you is that the possibilities that are opened up with one very simple possibility, and now reflect that in your own life, or the person that you're thinking of that had the near death experience. Now look at the possibilities that they had in that given moment when they had the near death experience. Yeah. So, uh, so Carol asks, do you think mediums get too hung up on where the energy is coming from, seeing, hearing, etc., rather than just saying what they feel they need to say, regardless of its origin, and trying to work out which Claire they are better at? Because it's so subtle sometimes. It's hard to work out which Claire it is, but does it really matter as long as the evidence is relevant? So, yep, I agree. I see many people getting hung up on which one it is. The only bit I'm not entirely happy with in that question is where the energy is coming from. So getting too hung up on where the energy is coming from, i.e., seeing, hearing, feeling, etc. I get that. The only thing we need to double check in that process of where the energy is coming from, is it from the spirit world or is it from the person in front of us? And you can use different clairs within that moment. It's a skill set. You're reading energy. Now, the energy, all you're doing is the energy here present in front of me, or is it that of a discarnate, someone that's been here and now gone to the spirit world, and am I reading it there? So one will give me an answer, which is here, so it shows intelligence. So who are you? I'm their mum, I'm their dad, I'm their whatever, fill the blank. And how old are you? What are you doing? I'm having a conversation with it. When it's coming from the person, said client, from the psychic energy, there's no answer to the question through the energy. I have to ask the client. So that's the only double check I would do. I'm more than happy for you to be hung up on that section for a minute or so to make sure your energy's in the right place. Definitely. But I definitely agree in the context of the question. I see loads of people worrying so much. I can't see anything. I can't see it, and I'll say, all right, okay, then. So what are you feeling? Well, I feel that they were at sea. And then the client will go, yeah, that's right. They did. They were at sea all their life. You didn't need to see it, and what happens is it's our stock go to. I'm so good at clairvoyance. I'm so good at seeing it. I'll just stay there. I don't want to check the other ones because this is so good. Whereas I try to exercise all clairs and let them know that the feeling will be there, the sound is there, the knowing is there if you want it, but you're too busy looking for the vision. So totally agree. Just make sure: am I working with the spirit world or am I working psychically? Most definitely, people get way too caught up. You also mentioned there. My apologies. You also mentioned there how subtle it is, and I can definitely say, certainly in my own mediumship, the more and more I do, and the more I go with it, and the more I trust, and the more that I work it, the more subtle it becomes. Because I don't need the cold rush or the tingly face. I don't need it. I know the spirit world's there. At the moment I move my mind to work, as I shift that mental state, that awareness that I have, and I move it to work, I know the spirit world are there. So I don't need to feel them. I don't need like big descriptive values of them. I know they're there. And in that process, I've learned to make it a lot more subtle. And all I'm doing is using this said um, essence, the spirit world there. I'm using the energy more efficiently in the process of my mediumship. Therefore, I can do longer evenings or do more in-depth communication because I'm not getting caught up with the nothings of a communication. They got grey hair. I think they wore glasses. I mean, it really don't matter. That kind of stuff, unless there's something very outrageous about their glasses, like if they had them wobbly eyes that bounced out and they wore them all day long, then mention the glasses. But other than that, it's yeah, it gets more subtle the more and more we trust it. So Lillian says, definitely, yes, I feel that Charlie's approach is modern. He makes the point to get on and not make it difficult, and it works. And that is super kind of you, Lillian. So thank you very much. That is really, really nice and good. It's really good. But that is the whole plan. That is the whole point of what I'm trying to do. A lot of you know that I argue or I disagree with very famous people in this profession, in this movement, and if I can show you an easier way and a much freer way and one that costs much less and all of that, then I can assure you it will be coming to my YouTube channel regardless of who that upsets. So remember to subscribe and like and share the channel to let more people know it's here, and I will be eternally grateful. So Stephanie's saying to Ray, Charlie definitely has his way of teaching mediumship. It's much more open and simple than what you can get from other teachers. That is also really nice. So we better stop praising me right now. So no more of that because that makes me feel super awkward, and I have to look into the camera, and it's hard enough talking to that without going bright red or feeling awkward about it. So I really appreciate the comment. Thank you, but no more now. Alfie Divine. Hi, Charlie. I glad I caught you. I'm glad you caught me too. I hope you mean on here. So welcome to the channel. I don't know if this is your first time here or not, but if it is, hope you're subscribed. And we can go from there. So Stephanie says, when I started mediumship, I was bad with contacts while I was already good in psychic reading. I have understood that I must put my intention and thought in a different place in both cases. but I do not understand what my brain does differently in one case and in the other. Can you explain that to me? For me, well, you know. Oh, sorry, I keep kicking that camera. So it's on a tripod at the end of my little desk. So can I explain to you what the process of that is? Well, you know that I work a lot with Sheila and her desires at the moment to go down the science route. I know a lot of people are going down the science route, and Ursham Star in conjunction with a chap called Marcus, who's a neuroscientist. And I equally do as many test subjects and that to get this understanding here. But understand my first love is the spirit world. That's my first love. And I don't care whether I prove it or not in my lifetime, whether I can back it by science or not. My first love is proving the spirit world, regardless. So the process in that mind, what I've learned through my mediumship and through the neuroscience that Marcus has brought to Ursham Star and through the university tests that I go to and these hospital tests that I go for and try and help them understand it, is that the intent to work with the spirit world is going to be an altered state. And so I have to get my mind into the altered state. Now, the altered state will work in very much the same way of the psychic. So the essence of what you're doing, Stephanie, is you're reading energy. I just need to switch camera. Hold on. Is reading energy. Now, whether that be of a client sat in front of me. See this camera angles, this mirrored stuff. Can't stand it. Client sat in front of me. I read their energy. That's my mind. Altered state, I need to read and translate the energy of that person in front of me, and my intent goes towards that, and I will then start deciphering the information. The only mechanic that's different there when I'm doing it with the spirit world, so I'll put it up for the example, is my intent goes to work, and I want to read the energy of the person that no one else can see in the room, and I need to ask it questions. And so, who are you? What are you about? So the only difference there, in the simplistic of terms, is one, I engage in a conversation. Psychic work is usually past, present, and future, which is not really future, but past and present. And future's more of a seership, but that's another topic. But to answer you, it's the intent that you're going with, and then the conversation that you are having during that altered state that will ultimately decide the difference between whether you're working in your mediumistic intention or your psychic intention. Either way, it's spirit working with spirit or spirit. So that's the simple mechanic there. The simple way to explain that. Spooky Chris asks, do you sit in the power or meditate before a platform evening to build up your energy, or do you work more with the audience energy and whatever spirit bring? I do not sit in the power or meditate before a platform evening, simply because meditation is not spirit communication. So I put my mind in one area, and then I have to go into a room and put it in a different area. So my intent has to change. Meditation is a mind journey. It's mindfulness. That may be a visual journey or just sitting there in that moment. Therefore, I'm occupying my mind with something. I would rather smoke a cigarette outside or talk to a friend at a venue, see what they've been up to. I've still got to make that gear change when I go to the spirit world on my platform evening. Do I sit in the power beforehand? No, I don't. I don't do that. Why? Because the spirit world is limitless. It's energy. Energy cannot be destroyed. And I know that the moment I connect through the intent, through the mechanic of that intention to work for the spirit world, I plug in. I plug into that spirit world. Therefore, there's all the fuel that I will need, and it's everlasting. And therefore, I don't need to build it prior. I don't need to meditate prior, because I know that the spirit world are there. They're super excited because their loved ones are in the room. And on that chosen evening, I happen to be the voice for that said evening. Therefore, the energy is already in abundance. So, no, I don't. Do I use the audience's energy? If it's a long, long evening, I may have dipped in and used some of their power just to use me as a use them as a battery in some sense when I'm hitting an hour and a half, 2 hour dems, maybe. Other than that, you will never see me go into a client's energy in my congregation, just through the fact I may go in psychically, and I am hired or requested to do mediumship on that evening. Mediumship being spirit communication, therefore I have no need for the psychic mechanic. So you won't see Charlie Kelly on a platform doing psychic work like, and I was going to say her name, but I will save the blushes. I will save the hassle that I will receive on the inbox. The list is endless, sir. So no, mediumship 100% throughout the evening with me. If it's a psychic evening or a psychic mediumship evening, then maybe I can use that. All my events are mediumship, so it's spirit communication for me. Hope that answers your question. Spooky Chris. Ray. Thank you, Lillian and Stephanie. I trust Charlie to challenge me when I ask him questions, and I know that he wouldn't just say, no, that's wrong. He gives great advice, especially to a rookie like me. Again, kind, but yeah. Would you ever consider your own TV show like Marcus has done? Watch this space. Leave it there. Don't prompt me anymore. Just wait. It's coming. It's coming. Lillian, what is the difference between angels, spirits, souls, and guardians? Perception. Your perception. An angel, a spirit is a spirit. Whatever way we deal with that, everyone has. Let me just switch camera. It's on like a 15-second delay. Drives me bonkers, but for now, this is what I have to do until I find another way of doing it. So spirit is spirit. No matter what I do, spirit is spirit. What was the other way that you said that? What's the spirit, souls? That's a soul. That's a spirit. That's a soul. Guardians and angels. Guardians are guides, the team members. People see them as protection. I don't believe in protection from the spirit world. So it's love essence. I'm not going to protect myself from love essence. Then you will say, what about the negative energies of the world? I don't look for them, therefore I won't find them. So therefore they do not exist in my world. Angels, earth angels, spirit angels, whatever angel. I see an angel as someone that, you know, let me use my own examples because that way I'm more comfortable and no one feels that I'm digging them out or pointing a finger at them in any way, good or bad. If I'm in London and I'm off to the Comedy Store or Wembley to watch Ed Sheeran, forgot about that, which was amazing. And I've got change in my pocket. And let's say it's, I don't know, £3, £4, £5, £6 in my pocket in change, and I see a genuine homeless person on the street, I will get them a meal, or I will get them a hot drink, or I will give them the money, whatever it is. And I think that may save that person's life. You know, if that's like December, January time and it is freezing cold out there and they can go and buy a hot chocolate, that hot chocolate might save their life. A bit extreme, but you get the point I'm making. For me, that's kind of like that's like an earth angel thing that's going on there. I think we're inspired. My heartstrings just feel so strongly for these people, and if I can help them, I will help them in any way possible. And do I need the £6? Of course I need the £6, but you know what? He needs it more than me. And so I'm going to survive, and I'm going to go home to a bed, and if I want a cup of tea, I can flick the kettle on. This guy can't do that right now, so he needs that £6 more than me, so I will give him the £6. Now I know many people that do charity work. They help the homeless, they help the children, they help so many people. So for me, they're angels in a physical form. Angels in a spiritual form, I think they're just maybe older spirit, older souls further on that eternal progress that Sophie spoke about earlier, I just think it's perception. How do we want to put a label or a banner to it? We're all spirit, every single one of us. We're all connected. We're all souls. We're all angels if we want to be, and we can all be guardians if we want to be. I think it's just perception. How do you want? How do you want to live your life? How do you want to? How do you want to do it? And I think a lot of us get it wrong. I think a lot of us get it wrong, and hence the state of that place out there right now, and the stories we hear are just mind-boggling, aren't they? So, unfortunately, the answer is perception, Lillian. Jeanette, how do you get messages before you reach the sitter? Yeah, most definitely. I can set up. Let me change that phrase because I'll have some idiot come on here and say you said it on a live feed. I can sit down and I can communicate with 6 people prior to my demonstration. If that demonstration lasts 60 minutes, that will be 6 communications at 10 minutes each, equaling 60. And I could have done that communication in my mind with that person prior to that demonstration. I can do that. Do I do that? I have done that. I don't mean researching them. I mean in my mind, sit down on my chair and communicate with them. I have done that just to see if it was possible. It was possible. It was very successful. Do I sometimes feel them in the car with me when I'm traveling an hour ahead to see an important client that needs guidance, help, or communication, whatever it'll be? Most definitely, I will receive that information. What I do is I have a discipline for myself, and if I become aware of the message before I reach the sitter, I simply move my mind away from it. You need to come back later. I'm not there yet. You need to. I don't want to mess that up. I don't want to over dilute it. Leave me alone. And that's a discipline that I had to give myself. So it's down to discipline. Do I get the message before? I can do, most definitely. So yes, in answer to your question. JJW. JJW. That is a proper tongue twister for me. What is that all about? JJW. Hi, I had just joined. I'm sorry if someone asked this already, but when doing mediumship, why do I get no answer with some really simple questions, but other random things come across so clearly? So let's. It has been asked before, JJW, but that's not a problem. I mean, there'd be people here that wasn't here before. I'm not even reading that, Ray. It will be you're asking it in the wrong way. The simple answer is that you're asking the simple question in the wrong way. So I done a video recently on let me find it for you, JJ. Oh, Alfie's subscribed as well, so thank you very much, Alfie. So share as well, everyone. That would be much appreciated. But why I've grabbed my phone, sorry, is for JJW, so I can look at my videos and give you the answer. How to communicate with the spirit world. Formats in mediumship. So it was posted 4 days ago. And the answer to this question is in that video, and it's the way that you ask the question. So I spoke of a student that would say, "I'm asking him his job, but he won't answer me," and the person that he was asking didn't have a job, so there would be no answer. The answer is nothing. What did you do for a job? Nothing. That is the answer. So there is nothing there. So double check that when you're saying I get no answer, that actually the answer is nothing. So, what did you do? What did you have as a vice? You know, did you do drugs, or did you smoke, or did you drink alcohol? No, I did nothing. I done nothing. I was really good actually all my life. I was a little bit, normal. I loved life. I lived off life. Then the answer would be nothing. I did nothing. The question was, what were your vices? Nothing. So make sure that the question is as simple as that you're suggesting there. And if it is, then just approach it in a different way. Repackage the question, and you will definitely get the answer. So, Stephanie, when your students do a contact mediumship exercise, do you also have a connection with each communicator to help your student? Very, 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 very good question. So I get it in its essence. So I need to remind you of that. I do not waste my time with description. I do not waste my time with it. It's actually pointless unless they're missing a head or an arm or a leg. You know, something that stands out. Like you'll see in my you'll see. Let me switch camera. You'll see gone wrong. You know, I had an accident. That stands out. Description, that's that. All right, my red hair obviously stands out as well, so I don't need any funny comments. But it's like that stands right out. It's very unique in that sense. So then I would do things like that. What's that that's gone on there? Oh, my moderator can't spell mediumship. It's cool. So she will hate that I did that, but I don't care. So what will happen here? Who asked that, Stephanie? Let me switch camera back to this camera. Can you see that? Yeah. So sorry. So I will see what the student is seeing with their connection to the spirit world. Now, I won't see it clairvoyantly the way that they're seeing it. So if they saw a man wearing jeans and a blue shirt, I will not see a man wearing blue jeans and a blue shirt. I won't see that. I'll just be aware of a man, because I use the essence of that, and that's my style of teaching. I can't tell you if everyone does that. I don't know, but if I was working with you, Stephanie, as the medium, and we were both up at the front, and you make the connection, I go through your energy. So I go into your energy because you're already connected to the spirit world, to blend with the spirit world and you, so we can then do our double link, double communication, teacher student scenario. So I will be communicating with the same intelligence. I just won't see it, feel it, or sense it in the way that you may be doing it. It'll be in the way that I work. The same way that a iPhone can work for telephone calls and text messages and Android apps. Not Android. iPhone will do what's it? iTunes, and I forgot the name. The App Store can be there. You know, it's all connected to iPhone. And Samsung do it their own way. They've got the Android apps, and they do it in their own apps and downloads and whatever, and mediums are exactly the same there, if that makes sense. So I've got so I've had a question come in on my phone as I picked my phone up. So it looked like there was a warning that went with it. So let's have a look. So it may be a little bit edgy, I think, is what we're. Oh, Frank has sent me one via a an inbox as well. So I don't know. Is anyone having trouble? Well, you won't be able to tell me on there, will you? Doing the live chat, because I know a few of you did before. Anyway, Frank is asking, can you communicate with someone in a coma? I have done that. Yes. So the answer is yes. What is the mechanic for that? I spoke to the spirit of the person the same way I would a psychic reading. It's still spirit in essence. So yes, I have done that. I've had it where a little bit gory, but they're on like a life support system as well. And I know that they're already in the spirit world. that the machine is keeping the body alive, not the spirit keeping the body alive. But controversial, so I'm not going to go too much into that. And I didn't read the one I was meant to read, so hold on. Oh, it's a long one as well. So you're enjoying the feed, that's great, but for some reason can't leave a comment. Okay, so I don't know how I will describe that there. So it's called top chat at the bottom right of your screen. If you click the bottom right, top chat or chat, recent chat, it's something like that. And click the button, then you can put your comment in there. Anyway, so not really sure what my question is, but if you could explain recently, if I'm doing a one-to-one reading, not platform, just a one-to-one reading, I can sometimes feel awful, anxious, or not myself. For instance, this week I was so ill, and when I got my recipient, she was a very, very poorly lady. Once I had the reading, that jumped. Once I had the reading, my lady. Days later, I felt really strange, like something bad was going to happen. My next lady to heal was in a terrible pickle when she arrived. Having witnessed a child being beaten, once healing complete, I was back to normal. We obviously discussed and sorted a plan of action, so any thoughts on this would be much appreciated. So I can see you're engaging with me there, Leslie. Scroll right to the bottom of that page now. Scroll right to the bottom, and you'll see the chat there. And then that's when you can start seeing it ping up from that. So any thoughts on why you're picking that up? You're picking up the psychic energy of the person. So in both instances there that you're talking about. So you're going to see a client and she's very poorly. You've picked that up. In the energy, you have picked that up. And that is why you've started to feel that. To remove it, you simply just remove it. You hold it off yourself. I don't want to feel that. Take that energy away from me. Then principles I spoke about earlier. Principle number 5, personal responsibility. You are in charge of your own energy. So if you don't want to feel sick and you don't want to feel poorly, get rid of it. Do not allow it in your energy. Therefore, it won't be in your energy. And you will feel okay. So after the reading, she felt fine. So a few days later, you felt really strange and something bad was going to happen. So you felt the bad energy that the woman had felt when she saw a child being beaten. That's what you're feeling there. Once again, it's the same mechanic. Just take control of your energy. And that sounds really blunt, but I know how much of a lovely person you are, Leslie. And I know that you're very empathic. And that's all that's happened there. You've just allowed yourself to be in the energy of the client, and it just so happens they're feeling awful. The plus point is that if that said person was having a wonderful day, you should be feeling wonderful also. So it swings and roundabouts there. So what is that? Oh man, I'm falling right behind now. Okay. So I answered that one. Answered the one on there. When your students... Yeah, I answered that one. The Moments Tour, live on Skybox Office. Press the red button now for the greatest... Is it true that cat possesses a psychic gift and can see the dead? If so, are they the only animals that can do it? Or do all animals see beings of light? So I want you all to visualize it, okay? All of you visualize it. So take a moment, take a breath, and picture 2 dogs or 2 cats sitting there in a room. And the reason that all dogs and all cats can see light beings or spirit people or dead people, whatever term you want, is because when one cat sees that dead person, that spirit, that being, that light person there, the other cat is not turning around and saying, no, it's not. It's not real. It's not happening. They're not being fed by that. So you are being conditioned through your life from a very young age that when you said to your mum, my God, I can see someone and they're not really there. Mum or dad go, no, you can't. Stop being silly. You've got an overactive imagination. You're not allowed Coke before bed, or you're not allowed to eat Smarties anymore, so on and so forth. The education, society, brainwashing, again, whatever terminology you want. All cats and dogs do not argue amongst one another saying that they can or cannot see it. They just see it. They do it. There is no excuse. There is no conditioning there. They just do it. And that is what I am training myself to do. Just do it. I don't care what you think. I don't care what you tell me. I don't care what's going on around me. I know it. I believe it. I'm going to demonstrate it. And so that's what you all need to do if you're looking to develop in any stretch of your imagination. Sue, when doing platform or one-to-one, is there a specific thing you do to shift your awareness to the spirit world to bring people through? It sounds really lame, but yes, I do. So my mind has to, I need a whiteboard, and you'll be pleased to know that my studio that will be done very, very soon will have constant whiteboards and cameras on gorilla pods where I can run around and show you, because this is getting on my nerves. So, 27, 13, terrible numbers, 7, 4. So, apologies for the drawing, it is terrible, I appreciate that. Need to switch camera, hold on. So, you can see that, that's a person. You have 20 thoughts per second, 20 thoughts to 35 megahertz that runs at, that's your brain. Mediumship kicks in at about 13, so I take a breath, and on that breath I slow it down. It's an altered state, so that's why meditation's good. That's why meditation helps you, because I slow down my mind and I start to move it towards 13. I start to move it towards there. Changed, altered state, altered awareness. And the way that I do that is I take a breath, and in my intent I'm working for the spirit world now. And so through that, I changed the breath, and I'm already starting to become aware. And now I'm aware of the spirit world. And I am aware that there is a dad here. And I am aware that he wants to talk to his daughter. And I am aware that he's late 50s. And so on and so forth. I'm not doing a live reading on social media platforms. I do not agree with it. I never agree with it. I will never agree with it. And so I'm not doing it now. So if that makes sense to anyone, your dad, late 50s, in the spirit world, and there's only a handful of you left on the feed, then know that your dad turned up. I'm not working live on air. So I hope that makes sense, Sue. And that's how easy it is for me. I just moved the mind out. That's how easy I've made it, because I believe it and I know it. And I demonstrate it 4 nights a week around the UK and so on and so forth. So if I can do it, you can do it. The difference between me and you is that you're looking to do it, or you're looking to try and make it easier, whereas just do it. Just know that you can do it and do it. And therefore the process will already be happening. No problems that you're aware of. What's that about? I don't understand that. Don't matter. Hello from across the pond. Oh, Chris, you made it. Woo! So, welcome from across the pond. Brian Spam taking care of a dog catching and a little bit of Charlie. Do you mean a little bit of Charlie as in YouTube, or are you discussing your habits? I know you're not. I know. That comes up automatically on the right hand side. If on laptop, bottom of the page, and click top chat. If on iPhone. Hi Chris, sounds like you've had a perfect day. Chris, you're becoming famous. Trying again, I can see your message. I can see it, Leslie. I can see it. So you done it. Why is simple validating questions such as how many kids do you have so hard to get sometimes? Simply because if they said I had 13 children, you'd go, huh? Oh my God, I don't believe it. I thought she said 13. But you know what? I'm not sure she did. I'm not sure she did. Let me ask again. And you're going to get the same answer or no answer. Because you're like, oh, I don't know if I trust myself or not there. I don't know if that's right. So it will be that simple in doing that. The way that I set my mind up for that, JJW, is that I know the answer is there. So how many kids have you got? If I can't hear it or see it or sense it, I know the answer's there. It's me that can't find it. Why wouldn't that mother or that father not tell you how many children they have in their energy? Why wouldn't they tell you that? So I know that it's there. So I say, show me. Right, I can't see it. Then tell me. I heard a number there. Try again. 13 children. Yes, that's correct. Job done. It's a process. Just work through the clairs. Very mechanical, I appreciate. But it's going to work for you. And you said spirits have no reason not to answer in the problem entirely with the medium. Absolutely. Why wouldn't they give you the answer? Their loved one is in front of you. It may be their first time in 25 years that they've found a medium that's going to listen. That this medium's listening to me. Their daughter's in front of you, or their son's in front of you, and this is their one opportunity to turn up. And here they come. They've turned up. Okay, I can hear you, I can see you, and I know, I've told her you haven't communicated for 25 years. By the way, how many children you got? I ain't telling you. Makes no sense whatsoever. None. Of course they're going to give you that answer. So it's the only other ingredient in that scenario is the communicator and me. That is it. And I know they're going to give me all the information. Why wouldn't they? Their loved one is in the room. So the only problem there can be me. And yet, so many of you will sit there and say to me, you've got an ego. And yet, I'm the only one that I know of talking about getting it wrong. I get it wrong a lot to get it right. And once I get it right, I know I've got it right. That's not ego. That's not arrogance. That's confidence in the planning that I've put into it. So I know that it can only be me at fault. And if I know that, then I know I've got to look somewhere else. If I can't see it, then shut down the clairvoyance. Now tell me, I can't hear. Shut down the clairaudience. So I've got all my energy now going to my other senses. Let me feel it. I felt like 4. I felt like 4. 4 children. You would understand 4 children. Yes. Then I've done my job as the medium. I'm working the link. I'm working the communication. So it can only be us that gets it wrong. I do not understand why someone would come through and give all the wrong stuff to the one that they want to communicate to in front of them. It makes no sense. And mediumship and spiritual or spirit is simplicity in its simplicity. It's just so simple and easy. And I honestly believe that we make it so hard. We make it so difficult through teachings, books, or other egos out there. That may sound harsh, but you know that I so strongly know that. I know that. Is there a good book or website talking about all the principles? Actually, I really like, for the principles, I really liked Harry Boddington's The University of Spiritualism. It is available on Amazon. It's about £7 to about £25. One of Carol, the moderator, will try and quickly track down a link for you and place that in the links below. So it's Harry Boddington, The University of Spiritualism, and you will find it on Amazon. How do you separate a double link? I had this 2 weeks ago in a class. I asked one style to set back, but it stayed a bit muddly. Any tips? Absolutely. And I treat it like my own house. So if I've got 2 people in my house and one of them becomes a little bit rude or they've outstayed their welcome, then I get them out of my house. My energy, principle number 5, personal responsibility, is your own energy. So if one of them stayed, then you didn't. What you've done is you've looked for them again. So if I ask one person in my double, so I have 2 people turn up. Let me swap camera again just so I can see it on screen. So if I've got 2 people here, and they're muddling up their communication, I separate them. Stand either side of me so I don't mess this up. But if I'm still not happy with it, then I ask one of them to leave. So let's get that one to go over there. And what I'll do is I'll work with this one here, and I'm working away. But my mind will look and look for that one. The moment my intent goes to that one, it will just immediately come back. Because you've invited it back in through the intent of looking for it. Are they still there? I wonder if that man or that lady's still there. Too right they are. And now they're back in. And so through the intent, you've allowed them back into your mind. So that is my tip. If you want them out, ask them to leave. And they will leave. If you feel that you need to force them out, then force them out. But then don't look for them. Don't double check. They're out. They're gone. Don't look for it. If you look for it, they will definitely turn up again. So I hope that helps, mate. And that is the easiest mechanic I can give you there. So treat it like it is your house. Would you have people running around crazy in your house? Absolutely not. You'd throw them out. Throw them out your energy. Get them out your energy. So no problem, no problem, Chris. So must say I saw you at Stevenage. Okay. Centre recently and love the way you do platform. It is refreshing to see. Looking forward to you being back there in October. And I was recently in Hitchin, which is just around the corner from you there. And I'm in Luton tomorrow night also. So I look forward to meeting you again. The pictures are so tiny on this little chat that I've got on this laptop here, so I can't see who you are, but I'm sure you said you enjoyed the evening. I enjoyed the evening, so thank you for the comment. Can you talk faster? I have to leave in an hour. Talk faster? Okay. If the spirit world is so wonderful, why do we make the decision to come back? To learn. And I can only assume that there are so many. Like you can even tell in your own life, can't you? Like I know in this lifetime, from the age of 15 to the age I am now, I have learned a tremendous amount. I mean, enough for maybe 20 books that I feel that I can help people with, or what I went, the process I went through, and help other people that find themselves in that process. So I've learned that, a few of them have stuck with me so closely as well. And so I'm really, I'm still aware of it. I know that there's still some things lurking there in my mind, and maybe an element of me that still has to process or learn some of that. But that's something I've learned. My overall spirit would have learned that. So I reckon this is a school. I reckon life is a school, and it's very short, like school is. And before you know it, you're done. And I think life is like that. And one lifetime isn't enough to learn everything. The same way what I learned in school has absolutely no relevance to the real world out there, to be honest with you. I mean, my geography or my maths or anything like that, my English, everything I did at school, I use none of it now. None of it now. What I didn't learn in school was like tax, mortgages, economics, how to save for the future, what to do when you can't get on the property ladder, what to do when there is a recession. School don't teach you any of that, does it? And I think life does that. I think we can miss so much that we have to then go, damn, I need to go back. I need to go back and learn more. So that is why we have to come back. Was it the University of Spiritualism? I thought I said it was the University of Spiritualism. But yeah, that will be it. Is that Harry? But I can't click the link or it'll take me off. I'll try next time. Cool. Cool. I had the same question. Thank you. Thank you. So what's there? Love the sub and share sign on the shelf. Oh, mate, you want to see the new room? So I'm gonna record it. So that's one. That's one of them. Sub and share. You get these all that, but I've got massive ones. I've got really good ones coming as well to go in the room. So Most definitely. Can't wait to get it up and running now. How can spirits manipulate material objects on this side? So, really good question, that one. And so let's take let's take. Oh no, I've used this much tonight. I'm gonna have to. No, I won't. I won't. I'm not using that. I'll use a Buddha. Use a Buddha. Got a little Buddha here, a little side Buddha. Yeah, that'll do. Think you seen that? Oh, mirrored. So, yeah, little side Buddha. That's the one. And what they do is this is energy. Everything's energy. You know, this is actually wooden. This one, and so wooden's it's a very natural product, isn't it? So like me, I'm a natural product. There's no Botox. Do you notice? No Botox, none of that fake stuff going on with me. And what it is I'm energy, and energy is the atoms that make this a physical vehicle. I'm made of atoms, like you're made of atoms. And what the spirit world do is they speed up the frequency of the atoms that of this wooden block or of said person. The same way that you can rub your hands together and they get really hot and they're really sensitive now because I rubbed them. So I'm just heating up the atoms in that hand. The energy's just firing all over the place and bum, and so I get a heat sensation from that. The spirit world just speed that up. They make it hot. They speed it up, and then they can manipulate it. They can push it. They can move it because it's closer to their frequency than it is my solid frequency. Then they can move it or abort it. So send it somewhere else because it's lighter. There is a wonderful book. I don't know if it's ever been confirmed or disproven. I don't know, but it's called The Skull Experiment, and there's some good videos on YouTube actually. So the skull, SCOLE. So a moderator can throw that on the timeline there for you. Timeline the chat. The Skull Experiment. I can't remember the author's name of the book. The book is well worth a read. But the videos, if you want to just flick it on, it is on here. And there is a very good example of them using crystals to manipulate the energy to show you what I mean. So it's well worth watching. Maybe I don't know the author off the top of my head. So both of you there, well done, you two. You're bang on the money, you two tonight. Well done. So what's that? Do you find when there are other mediums in your audience, will you where you are demming, does this help or hinder, or does it not matter? It depends, I think, mate. So like I go to watch other mediums and it seems to bother them sometimes, you know. They'll jump on Facebook and, you know, get all their mates to sort of have a dig at me for it or critiquing or things like that. I'm not naming anyone in particular, but you know, they do it. And but I don't do that. I'm not bothered. I actually find that if I'm kind of het up a little bit, like someone annoys me, or I seem to be able to go, because in my early development I was quite angry, I suppose I can say. I was still angry at God for the loved ones I had lost and whatever. And I learned to transfer that energy from anger into a workable energy for mediumship. And I've had it many times where people said to me, "Core, you were really to the point tonight. You know, like what happened there?" And it would be because someone had kind of annoyed me in some way. So I don't know. Does it help or hinder? I don't know. I suppose it's how much value you give in that person's opinion, doesn't it? Like, I go to watch my mate Marcus whenever I can. You know, I like Marcus. I like what he does. And he's a good medium. You know, he's okay. I like watching his mediumship. But I actually go to support Marcus. I'm not there judging his mediumship. I'm not there looking for for elements. If the show's good, I'll tell him that was amazing. You know, if it's difficult, I'll say that was difficult, and we can have that kind of conversation. We can sit down and have that conversation, and Marcus doesn't then give my power or his own power to me as though it's a critique in that sense. You know, he doesn't focus the whole evening on what does Charlie think of this. He sees it as Charlie's here to support me as my friend today. And so if other mediums are in the audience and they've made themselves known to me and they're there because they want to watch mediumship, then I like to think it's because they're there to watch mediumship, to support me as their friend, or to see how I work. Whether they have an opinion or not, I actually don't care. But if they're there to support me, then that is absolutely brilliant. I love it. I love the fact that they're out to support me, even though they're a medium. So it depends on what perception we're coming from. Here in the UK, unfortunately, everyone thinks that if you're a medium and you're watching a medium, you're out critiquing that medium, and then we have to take it to social media and we have to get the knives out and stab everyone in the back. That's unfortunate. That's the nature of it here at the moment. But that's their actions are down to their own, you know, they're responsible for that. I can't help that. Anyone near Essex? Anyone near Essex? What have I missed there? It looks like so. Someone says, "What's up, guys?" So, what's up? You sound like Peter McKinnon. What's up, everybody? So, what's up? Anyway, anyone near Essex? Me, I'm near Essex. I'm curious as to how many guides you might have. Do they change very often? For me, they change very often to the speed of your expanding consciousness. I don't want to sound like I'm completely out of the out of the way there. Like I'm trying to keep you out the loop, but and terminology, I forget sometimes that I use these words that you might not understand. But if I'm aware of a spirit world and I'm aware of a gatekeeper and I'm aware of a main guide, then we don't grow beyond that, do we? How many people do you see now doing silly trance feeds or silly Q&As everywhere, you know, and equally they will think this is silly. But they will go my main gatekeeper or my spirit guide or blah blah blah. Whereas my understanding is far the polar opposite to that way of thinking. You know what? I'm aware of a spirit world, and so if they're there and I've got this knowledge now, then I can almost feel my expansion in my mind grow. And through that growth, I'm aware of more people. Now I've got healers, people on the science part of it. I have people that have knowledge that I definitely do not own in my own mind, but I seem to know on a chosen subject. And then within a year of working with all of that, I seem to know much more. And that's got to be the expansion of my comprehension and understanding of the spirit world. And so therefore my guiding influences, the input of that has to grow with me. It has to. If I keep that to one person, then that's my choice to keep it to that one person. However, I choose that I want to engage with as many as I can, giving me a greater understanding and a greater reservoir of information. That's just my take on it. So was it anyone near Essex that upset you? Oh, I'm not upset. But yeah, I took a lot of trouble from someone near the Essex area. Yes, definitely. It was terrible. Having trouble fitting the ego on it, Chris. Thought maybe needed a very large box. Cool. So they're still discussing their t-shirts, I assume. So we are 15 seconds short of 2 hours, which I'm super, super pleased with. That will help my numbers on my YouTube watch time, which I have to accumulate before they start taking me off algorithms and that kind of stuff. So I know that I shouldn't ask, but I am going to. Can you sub and can you share? can you tell your groups and the people that if you enjoyed this, and maybe they can learn one thing from this, or equally if they hate me and they want to shout at me, all attention is good right now. So it's any engagement is engagement. So I ask that you like and you share the video, and you can talk about the channel or promote the channel for me, because I do need it to get noticed, to help fund it in its own right. It's cost me an absolute fortune to do it. So once it hits 1,000 subs and the 4,000 watch hours that's required to keep these channels going, it can fund itself then I'm more than happy to do it on a much more regular basis. So if you like it, you're going to have to show people that you like it, because if it doesn't get shown, then I'm just going to dwindle off into the ether, never to be seen again. And we'll go from there. God, that went a little bit crazy there, didn't it? No, was that me just hitting the wrong button? So that's brilliant. So I thank you, everyone. I don't think there's anything else to discuss. Be patient with the upcoming videos. I will do 2-3 minute snippets for you. Keep the engagement there on the channel. But it's all about once the studio's up and running. And if I can, I will show you the before and after shots of this move, of this studio, and the plans that I have for the future going into this, and see where we go from there. So peace out to everybody. I actually enjoy doing this, so I will get scheduled another one, and we'll take it from there. In the meantime, send some questions if you think of them. We can bring them up in the next live feed. Engage with me on Facebook, also Twitter, Instagram, everywhere. And I thank you all for your support, your continuing support, and I do need it more. But it is wonderful what I have received already. So thank you again. And I will see you all very soon. So for now, ciao. Peace out.